me to introduce myself. My name is Ajrina Alfionita.
And I'm Hari Parmana. We are very honored to be part of this event as Master of Ceremony.
May we all bless with great health and good morning and welcome to the first Hapua Webinar Series 2021.
And please allow us to greet a special welcome to all Hapua Council members.
All Hapua country coordinators already joining with us, Mr. Muhammad Iqbal Nur and Mr. Bob Saril.
And Hapua Working Group Chairman and Vice Chairman, especially Mr. Ang Sengkok as Working Group 3 Chairman.
And distinguished guests also to the rest of Hapua member and all of PLN officials who are also watching this event to Zoom meetings and YouTube channel.
Once again, good morning and welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, regarding to the rise of development of decentralized power distribution, utilities have embraced this challenge and opportunity with pile of innovation research and investing millions budget of large-scale projects.
Smart metering technology is one of significant another has rapidly developed in recent years. Thus, some lesson learned has been gained from pilot project and project implementation.
Therefore, in accordance with the title of our event today, we will learn and discuss all about advanced metering infrastructure implementation, especially in Southeast Asia. Before we proceed to our agenda, please take a look of this video.
The purpose of Hapua Webinar Series is to address various topics which we find strongly relevant to all ASEAN electric utilities. The organizing committee has cooperated with PLN Indonesia, TNB Malaysia, SPIC Group Singapore, and EMEA Thailand to invite a number of brilliant and experienced speakers to address the topic of gain opportunity which should not be missed. Therefore, we certainly encourage all participants to be actively involved in all sessions and make new connections.
Hello everyone. Over the past few years, continuous improvements in the area of distribution network reliability have been innovatively developed to create an excellent customer experience. This has been the focus of Hapua Working Group 3 through the various projects and knowledge-sharing events among all ASEAN member countries. Following the current condition due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I strongly believe that this initiative from Project Number 4 to realize a virtual conference in the form of a webinar is very relevant. On behalf of Hapua Working Group Number 3, I would like to congratulate the organizing committee of Project Number 4 for hosting the first Hapua Webinar Series 2021 titled Road to AMI Implementation, Progress, Lesson Learned, Pre- and Post-Implementation. I would also like to encourage other projects to follow the same path, utilizing virtual format to foster knowledge and experience sharing among us under current situation. It will be my sincere hope that all participants be actively engaged in all the webinar sessions to expand your professional networking internationally within ASEAN region, to create solutions and to improve the quality of life for our communities through electricity sector. Finally, with the COVID-19 pandemic still in our midst, I sincerely hope you will continue to stay safe and healthy.
Since it was established in 1981, Hapua has been home to electric utility experts coming from ASEAN region. Since that, various programs on sharing strategies, best practices, challenges, and experiences of member utilities have been persistently carried out by all working groups. Today, despite the continuing pandemic COVID-19 that limits social interaction. Papua shows its resiliency by utilizing digital technology to continue nurturing knowledge and experience sharing culture. On behalf of Papua Secretary, I must congratulate Papua Working Group 3 and the organizing committee from project number 4, Networking with PLN Indonesia, Ignition, and IKADIN for all the hard work and creativity in conducting the first Papua Webinar Series 2021. I believe that this webinar has been professionally organized to stimulate fruitful discussion on the topic of advanced metering infrastructure or AMI technology, which is one of the key enablers of smart grid implementation. As such, I strongly encourage all participants from Papua member countries to make the most of this webinar and establish ASEAN networking among all the bright minds in the region. Finally, I wish you all health and well-being during this difficult time. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Please welcome Director of Corporate Planning of PLN Indonesia, Mr. Muhammad Iqbal Nur, to deliver the welcome remarks. The stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and selamat country leader of Papua member countries, especially Mr. Ang Seng Kok as Papua Working Group number 3 chairman, and all participants, gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank to God and blessing us, especially during the pandemic. This is a very difficult situation. I think all of our business have an impact, especially when the economic in the region have an impact because of the pandemic. Then I think all the utility, everything also have an impact. On behalf of PT PLN Persero Indonesia, I to welcome you to the first Papua webinar series in year 2021 under the name of Road to AMI Implementation, Progress, Lesson Learned, Pre and Post Implementation. The realization of this webinar is strong proof that we could adopt to unpleasant circumstances. Therefore, I must thanks and congratulate to all committee members, especially Mr. Iman Faskayana, to support by excellent team members for all effort to realize this program. I believe that the organization committee have designed and prepared an inspiring and insightful webinar to all electricity community all over Asian countries. The webinar has invited experienced speakers from PLN Indonesia, Singapore Power Group, TNB Malaysia, MIA Thailand, and expand our knowledge to in specific area of advanced metering infrastructure. As such, I encourage more experts from Asian member countries to do same in the various fields of expertise for the next Papua webinar series. As a beautiful written in Asian anthem lyrics, we dare to dream, we care to share. This Papua webinar also reflects the care to share our expertise and experience for its the way of ASEAN. Now, I think I will move to share about current and future era of electricity. Dear participants, today we live in the world where digitalization has brought significant impact to all living sectors, including electricity sector. In the era unlimited possibilities, customer demand has evolved in the speed that utilities should be able to surpass. To date, more and more customers are interested in the environmental issue in which they would like to participate to make an impact. Under these circumstances, electricity utilities are encouraged to build more renewable power plant. In return, there has been increasing number of customers who willing to pay more extra under renewable energy certificate mechanism. Further, owing to strong awareness to green and clean energy, we have witnessed presence increase the rooftop PV installation. Another exciting trend comes from electricity vehicle penetration to global market, including ASEAN countries. In fact, these electric utilities need to update its market orientation and provide all support system starting from network reinforcement, public and home charging facilities, metering and payment system. For this system integrity is an essential for the successful implementation. In short, technology is enabling customer empowerment. Therefore, electric utilities should be raising their value proposition and branding. In order to success in a long run, company needs to make sure that all business process are carried out in sustainable manner. To put this PLN a business context, I would like to inform you PLN, one of the vertical integrity utility in region. It is quite a big number in terms of the customer, in terms of the coverage area for the whole Indonesia. In providing excellent service to all Indonesian customers, PLN has persistently developed a competitiveness advantage of all more than we having a more than 50,000 employees. Despite the challenging circumstances, PLN opts to consider that as an opportunity rather than a burden. As such, PLN has launched PLN Transformation Program to convert to sustainability awareness to collaborate action between PLN and all its subsidiaries. There are four pillars PLN transformation, namely green, lean, innovative, and customer focus. From the pillar, we can consider how we should reacting to the changing of the situation, changing of the efficiency, changing how we are serving the customer. Let me brief about the four pillars of PLN transformation. First, green reflect commitment to be a leader of Indonesian energy transition through strategic development of renewable power plants. Second, lean express PLN effort to be lean, reliable, and very efficient provider of electricity without sacrificing its performance to customer. Third, innovative exhibits PLN strategy to stimulate, boost growth through innovative business models. And finally, customer focus divine to the corporate value proposition to all customers by providing satisfactory service and experience. Now I will describe overview of PLN Transformation Program. It consists of 20 breakthrough initiatives established by derivative of four pillars: lean, green, innovative, and customer focus. There are two breakthroughs initiative in total that covers the upstream side of power plant to the downstream to distribution side to customer side. Generally, all the initiatives reflect the balanced focus on the enhancement of operation technology and information technology or digitalization. Especially, I would like to highlight the role of advanced metering infrastructure as part today webinar. In PLN transformation program, there are at least 5 initiatives where AMI will play an essential role, namely digitally enable distribution excellence, bring billing and collection optimization, captive power taking over, outage management, and PLN mobile relaunch and regulatory structure and tariff optimization. I know it seems complicated, but please bear with me and I will elaborate them as simple as possible. First, the initiative Digital Enable Distribution Excellence needs IMI to provide a wide range distribution side information, both in the form of statistical data and real-time monitoring. Here, we would be able to push the sound distribution management system, occupied with the GIS and power system analysis to enhance the performance of distribution network. Next, we have 3 initiatives that will run in a parallel and collaboratively support by the implementation AMI. They are billing, collection, and optimization, outage management, and new PLN mobile, in which the new PLN mobile be utilized as a digital platform and the AMI will unlock ability to perform smart billing, outage management system and future of the new PLN mobile. Finally, owing the growth demand of feed-in tariff for PV rooftop owners, time of use tariff, incentive for demand response, especially mechanism for electric vehicle owners, and other future business development, is a strong need for ME implementation to enable initiative, regulatory, sector structure, and public optimization. Before I finish my keynote speech, I would like to invite all the audience of this webinar from the all Asian members countries to have a look the Hapua organizational structure. I hope with this short view of Papua, it could strengthen our bond and provide all kind of support to Papua in realizing the future ASEAN power grid that will be serve the Asian community, provide prosperity through electricity provision. Since 2004, PLN has played a important in Asia Papua Secretary, working closely with the Papua Council, Papua Working Committee from ASEAN member country. Papua activities also are closely monitored, support by Asian regulatory such as SOME under the ASEAN Minister of Energy meeting. Papua also established networking with area Asian Center for Energy, Asian Power Grid Consultative Committee, and ASEAN Secretary. In the running all the project, Papua has established 5 working groups that has specific tasks and respond and collaborate, collectively support the realization of Asia Power Grid with concern regarding green and renewable energy. I would like to express appreciation to Papua Working Group number 3 Chairman, Mr. Eng Seng, for initiative the first webinar series year 2021 under the title The Role of MEM Implementation. Also my special thanks goes to the NIC for the hosting this event. Finally, I would like to take the opportunity to encourage dear colleagues, the Asian countries, to keep our spirit high and remain optimistic because these hard times to share the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Iqbal, for this long welcome speech. And also has delivered to us about PLN transformation spirit today. We invite you to raise as we play our ASEAN anthem, the ASEAN Way Song.
Agenda today. The first presentation theme will be the architecture and technology. Will be presented by Mr. Rudi Setiobudi, but today it will be delegated by Mr. Heri Santoso from PLN and guided by Mr. Bramantio Anggun Pambudi as the moderator.
Then the second presentation is about Advanced Metering Infrastructure or AMI deployment process and will be delivered from TNB Malaysia by Mr. Zahari bin Dollah and Mr. Mohamed Gous. And also as co-speaker, Mr. Syed Ahmed Fuad, Mr. Lim Taiken, and Mr. Zamin Zur. This session will be guided by Mr. Bustani Hadiwijaya as the moderator.
Moving to the third presentation, still about the MI deployment process, but in this session we will focus in Thailand. This presentation will be delivered by Mr. Nathanon Chotiranyasa from Metropolitan Electricity Authority from Thailand and guided by Mr. Daniel Tampu Bolon as the moderator.
Yeah. Then we will have the last presentations about the use cases of AMI, delivered by Mr. Ang Chi Keong from SP Group, Singapore, and guided by Mr. Revi Adrian Sinulinga as the moderator.
Last but not least, we will have the fun quiz session and closing remarks. We hope that all the speaker and the participant are joining us till the last agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, before we moving to the main agenda today, since COVID-19 pandemic is still spreading all around the world, unfortunately, we couldn't organize this event offline and have to do this seminar virtually. Please allow us to have the documentation by doing the virtual photo session together firstly.
Yes, so please kindly open your video and give best pose like us and our best smile today. And I'll count down from 3, 2, 1. Yeah, and please give your best pose and let us capture all the screen. It's about 10 seconds. And also the participant in YouTube channel also follow us with this pose. Yes. Okay, and it's about 3, 2, 1, and disrupt. Please give big applause, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Before we move to the main agenda, please take a look of this short movie of PLN.
PLN menyadari bahwa untuk mendukung pertumbuhan ekonomi, mendorong investasi, dan pemerataan industri atau energi berkeadilan, tenaga listrik memiliki andil yang penting. Kestabilan dan kualitas pasokan listrik merupakan kunci pertumbuhan industri modern yang akan memacu peningkatan perekonomian nasional. Melalui inovasi dan teknologi, PLN selalu berupaya untuk meningkatkan keamanan, pelayanan, dan keandalan dengan standar kualitas tertinggi, memupuk kepercayaan dan mengembangkan kredibilitas PLN terhadap masyarakat dan khususnya industri, menyediakan layanan konstruksi, layanan event, dengan mendorong clean energy, kecepatan, dan kemudahan melalui pelayanan power bank. Dengan meningkatnya kualitas dan keandalan listrik PLN, perusahaan yang dulu menggunakan pembangkit sendiri atau captive power, sekarang mulai beralih menggunakan listrik PLN, memberikan solusi energi untuk berbagai sektor dari hulu ke hilir. Transformasi PLN, Power Beyond Generations.
Presentation session today, please kindly visit our attendees on the link that we mentioned in our chat box and YouTube. Participants can also write down your questions on chat box for the Q&A session.
Since we have all the speaker and moderator for the first session settled in our webinar room today, please welcome Mr. Heri Santoso as the first speaker and Mr. Bramantio as the moderator. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Hadi and Ms. Ajrina. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Hello, world. Good morning, distinguished HAPA delegates, ladies and gentlemen, participants of first HAPA webinar series 2021. Please allow me, Bramantio Budi, to be the moderator of this first session. Before we start to the presentation of our first speaker, let us first hear the high-level overview and greeting speech from Mr. Indradi Setiawan as HAPA Working Group 3 Chairman Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of HAPA Working Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of HAPA Working Group 3 Indonesia, it is an honor for me to welcome all the participants of the first HAPA webinar series 2021 today. A great appreciation is deserved to be given to the organizing committee of this webinar. The first HAPA webinar series 2021 entitled Road to AMI Implementation, Progress, Lesson Learned, Pre-Post Implementation. Given current situation, virtual conference has put its firm stand as a way for us to hold such event so that knowledge sharing activities among us can still be done seamlessly. As the needs of electricity with great availability, reliability, and efficiency, along with the greater penetrations in the VUCA era has become necessity. Smart grid appears to be the solution of which AMI is a substantial driver. Since 2007, PLN has already implemented AMR as STEM milestone to develop AMI. In terms of capability, all critical aspect and utilize of AMI in PLN, such as remote measuring and controlling of smart meter, accurate billing methods, tampering prevention, etc., are moving towards satisfying practice. In the development of AMI in PLN, necessary standard to ensure reliable system, optimal architecture, and suitable equipment specification has been made and issued through meticulous research, benchmarking, and field study cases. The standard here made to be suitable to condition of Indonesia. However, that can also be applied to all HAPUA members countries, given the similar nature among all Southeast Asian countries. Not only PLN, industry side has also been contributing to the development of AMI in Indonesia. One visible proof is the fact that there is a lot of local smart meter manufacturers in Indonesia, producing good quality product which comply with PLN standard. Smart meter Indonesia are fruit of mutually beneficial cooperation and collaboration between PLN and local manufacturers. Close supervision between these two parties ensure reliable smart meters which can compete with similar product overseas. Moreover, I also believe that all utilities in PLN region have also embraced AMI as one of the critical drivers of smart grid development. All utilities are adoptedly moving toward well-established AMI. Therefore, this webinar will prove to be useful to enhance the understanding toward AMI implementation. Experiences and knowledge from distinguished speakers from PLN, SP Group, TNP, and MAR will become a good guidance for us. Sincerely hope that this webinar does not become the final destination for us to share ideas. Hence, I strongly encourage you to build professional networking among all the attendants of this webinar. Finally, I look forward to seeing you at the next Papua webinar series. Thank you. Papua Working Group 3, Chairman of Indonesia. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
View and also a warm speech, isn't it? Next, I would like to introduce our first speaker of this session. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, allow me to ask for and apologize to all of the participants here that due to the technical issues, our first speaker, whom should be Mr. Rudy Setiobudi, should be replaced by Mr. Heri Santoso. But no need to worry, since both of them were often involved at the same team. Moreover, recently, both of them are on the same team, which is responsible to corporate AMI development in PLN. Okay, our webinar first speaker, Mr. Heri Santoso, was born in 1967, and joined PLN in 1992 as engineer of Jakarta Distribution Dispatch Center until 2007. And later on, until 2009, he was responsible of Jakarta and Tangerang Distribution SCADA system as assistant manager. In 2009, he had the opportunity of being corporate planning deputy manager of Jakarta Distribution. In 2011, his tour of duty in PLN began and bring him to Bali Island. I guess you all know Bali Island. As manager of Bali Distribution Dispatch Center, and followed by being manager of West Java Region Distribution Dispatch Center from 2013 until 2015. In 2015, he was the manager of transmission and distribution for south and middle part of Borneo Island. Currently, he's playing a role as senior manager of technology research in PLN Research Institute, with the main responsibility to research new technology to be applied in PLN. Ladies and gentlemen, his expertise of 29 years served for PLN comprise smart grid technology, specifically in the area of smart automation of distribution network system, FLIR or FDIR, and high quality power system. Now he's also a leader of AMI PLN Standard Working Group and leader of SCADA Committee Group of PLN. Ladies and gentlemen, today Mr. Heri Santoso is among us to deliver a presentation with the title of Advanced Metering Infrastructure AMI System for PLN Business Process. Before we hear the presentation, if you have any question, don't forget to write down your question in the chat box and mention name and your organization as well. Okay, Mr. Heri Santoso, could you hear me?
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Bram.
Okay, Mr. Heri Santoso, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, host, and also thank you so much for the moderator, Mr. Bram. And to all the participants, who I really respect. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, healthy greeting, and best wishes to all. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Heri Santoso from PLN Research Institute. I replaced the previous speaker, Mr. Rudy, who could not attend for one reason or another. However, I am very happy to present and participate in this great forum. Hopefully, the material I presented will be of benefit to all of us.
Amen.
Okay, we start with for the first slide. In this slide, I try to explain about our customer, where until now, currently number of our customer is 78 million 620,000 and 305 customer. We serve all of them using three types of meter. First is a prepaid meter. Prepaid meter is a meter without automatic meter reading. This is around 53% customer. The second is we use postpaid meter. This is also meter without automatic meter reading, around 46%. And the third is postpaid with automatic meter reading, only 0.5%, around 282 customer. Next, this is our journey as an effort to comply with government policy and improve our standard and our product. Until 2008, there were 43 meter product that we use. However, according to the regulation of the Ministry of Republic Indonesia regulating the local content level of product from 40% local contents, and also experience the finding of a problem in the feed, and also refer to another countries with socio-cultural similarities such as India, we make adjustment and we revise our standard. And after we recertification, we test. Has been carried out so far. Only 11 various type of meter manufacture. Talking about automatic meter reading, one of the challenge is that our customer are spread all over Indonesia. As we know that Indonesia is the largest archipelago country in the world, with has more than 17,000 islands. And to make easier, we divide into 7 regions: Sumatera, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Maluku, West Java, including Jakarta, regional Java Center, and East Java, included Bali and Nusa Tenggara. Until now, the most automatic meter reading are still in regional West Java, and this is in Maluku and Papua. In 2021, we have some target, among other, to increase the number of customer by 3.2 million. However, to meet this target, we still have a challenge or homework. There is still a misuse, we call a misuse of electricity consumption of 1,266 in 2019 and 1,300 in 2020. This is a history of AMI implementation in PLN. We try to introduce. First, in 2017, we tested 3 MI meter manufacturer as it is or proprietary by taking location in Batam, Bali, and Jakarta. Second, in 2018, we conducted a trial of zero capex optic business model, where in this trial for fiber optic media communication has an MDMS provided by PLN subsidiary Icon Plus, while all meter were provided by the manufacturer, the participant. The meter use is standard that can communicate it with the fiber optic, and the trial was carried out in a residential area in the Bogor, West Java, where all of this housing area have used our fiber optic for their need. Third, in 2019, we conducted a trial with 3 AMI manufacturer, and fourth, in 2020, we conducted trial with 4 AMI manufacturer. We do a proof of concept, taking location in Bogor, and in this test, we divided into parts. In part 2 or pass 2, pass 1, all of meter DCU for each participant talking with their hash and their MDMS. And in pass 2 or part 2, meters DCU has from each manufacturer talking to our MDMS. This is what we did in proof of concept in 2020. Apart from this test, we have also conducted several research and studies. We make the result of them as additional reference in compiling standard equipment to be used in our ME system. This is in the from 2018 we research comparative study. We make a study about comparative communication media, fiber optic, PLC, wireless, and everything, and it's done. And then a study on communication media selection for two-way customer, study on the effect of noise from household application on PLC G3. This is important for us because, as you know, in Indonesia, we still our people they use much product from household are coming from everything, everywhere, yeah. And in 2020, we work together with Kepri, Korean Research Electricity, to study and to evaluate their MDMS, where from this activity we hope we can now detail what is the function feature in their MDMS. Maybe any one or some feature and function can we adopt to make a further our MDMS. We make also a standardization for all of the equipment which we will use in the ME system. Any the 5 standard, but we still have 2 standard not yet finished. Sorry, we have three standard not yet finished, but we hope we can finish it in 2021. Sorry. What is the urgency of MI for the purpose of the PLN business process? Of the many benefits of MI, there are 6 that PLNs want to get through the implementation of MI. First is accuracy. This is important for us. Second is DSM, demand side management. Third is cost. Fourth, to trust. We need to improve trust for our customer about PLN. And revenue protection, to protect our revenue from mainly from illegal. Sorry, we use illegal using, yeah. And it 6 less physical contact. In here using AMI, we hope we can minimize direct contact between our customer and our people inside. This is the 6 urgency MI from PLN. With MI, in the future, PLN also hopes to run several business opportunities, including renewable energy, electrical vehicle, smart payment, smart device, internet services, and smart agriculture. This is we have an opportunity in this smart agriculture because, as you know, most of Indonesian population is farming, and there are many agricultural and plantation land in Indonesia. Okay, based on the result of the trial, research, study, and discussion, internal and external, that we have carried out as I have explained in this previous slide. We predict the configuration of our MI system to be something like this picture. We have 4 types of communication media use: fiber optic, cellular, radio frequency, and PLC. Especially for the meter are communicate using cellular. Partly we will we will do a migration for our existing AMR, automatic meter reading. I mean, accept the new customer with the new meter with already comply with the MI standard. We will also do migration from our meter from automatic meter reading system existing to be MI. This is the first, and the second is the PLN MI system. PLN is designed to use multiple heads. But for meter that communicate directly to heads using cellular and using fiber optic, the hash is specially provided by PT Icon Plus, subsidiary of PLN. But for meter that communicate using PLC and RF or radio, the DCU and the hash are provided by parties outside of PLN. So for procurement, we buy only meter, DCU, and hash for meter are communicate using PLC and mesh and radio. MDMS is created, developed, and maintained by Icon Plus. We create by ourselves and we maintain by ourselves. But and special for PLC, referring to the Research Institute study for our study, a suitable PLC for use is 150 until 490 kilohertz, because as I explained in previous slide, Indonesian people, most of Indonesian people still use household a lot of noise. And according to our study, the good frequency from Indonesia, if we want to use PLC, is in this frequency. This is FCC frequency for narrowband. Next. So what we will do in 2021, I not explain again this part because I already explained in the previous slide. In 2021, in 2021, we will complete the creation of method and technique for migration from our automatic meter reading existing to MI. And we will make a pilot project of automatic meter reading migration to MI. Except these two activity, we must completed standard creation for this UN has, yeah, because this is not yet finished as I explained in here. Yeah, we still have homework to finish this standard, and we hope we can finish on 2021. In 2021, also we will assessment test. We do assessment test for our MDMS. We will assess function, feature, and etc. And we will do also type test and certification for the product, meter, DCU, HES, and etc. And then procurement if still have time in 2021. But this is not final. This is once again, this is our prediction. Thank you very much. I give back to moderator, Mr. Brown, and hope we are all always in healthy condition. Amen. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown.
Amin, Mr. Heri Santoso. Thank you, Mr. Heri Santoso, for the comprehensive and insightful presentation of EMI implementation in Indonesia. In my opinion, that's quite comprehensive presentation by Mr. Heri Santoso that covers most of the challenges, especially in Indonesia. As we know, it's an archipelago country with more than 78 million of customers. Okay. His presentation also covers
yes. For us, yeah.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, his presentation also covers the milestone of implementing AMI in Indonesia, from the history of AMI implementation back then in 2017, testing, researching, studying, standardize, what is expected AMI configuration, and what's PLN plans or strategy to be carried out in 2021. From the presentation, I've highlighted several key notes, such as, okay. The first one, currently the implementation of AMI in PLN already on its final stage of proof of concept, POC. Well, still, there are obstacles to its development to overcome. The second one, there are 6 factors that makes PLN feel urged to implement AMI in the near future, namely accuracy, demand-side management, cost optimization, increasing trust level of the customers, revenue protection, and also the last one is reducing the physical context to the customer, especially on this pandemic, right? The third one, the PLN have developed a new standard to AMI energy meter with local content improvement consideration. And the last one, I've highlighted some notes that PLN also launched several products that could be used by its customer to improve and optimize electricity usage. You mentioned before, like smart homes, smart agriculture, and etc. Okay, that's very, very insightful. Next, Mr. Heri Santoso, you still with me? We will proceed to next session, which is question and answer session. Please stay with me. I will read the questions on the chat box. Let me have one to be addressed to our first speaker. Okay. I think this one is interesting. This is million questions to AMI implementation, Mr. Heri Santoso. Mr. Heri Santoso, would you mind? This question is from Syed Ahmad Fuad from Tianbi, Malaysia. Hello, Malaysia. So I will read it. What are the main consideration when you choose your communication networks for am I? Okay, you may answer it first, and then
Okay.
we move to the next question if you have time.
Okay. Thank you very much for Mr. Syed Ahmad Fuad from
Syed Ahmad
CNB.
Fuad.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is a good question. Why? What is our consideration when we choose the for the media communication? First is our customer. Our customer is not like in other country. Our customer is, as present in the previous in our slide. First is our customer spread in all of area in Indonesia, and the second is not all of the customer stay in residential. And we have also customer are still stay in the village, in the high area, and not and also we have people and are walking in the ground floor. So we must combine some of media communication to make a perfect our MI system. For example, in one area, maybe in one area, yeah, in one area, for people stay and resident as maybe we can use cellular, or we can use PLC.
PLC.
But people in the village are still the distance from one host to other customer is still so far.
Yeah.
Maybe we too far. We use other media, and special again for customer are their activity in the ground floor, like they in the market shop in the ground floor, they cannot using cellular, but we can use radio or power line carrying PLC.
No.
That is our consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Heri Santoso. It's also been questioned by Mr. Irsyam from PLN East Java Distribution. Yeah, the same question. I hope it answered to two questions. There are still more questions from Cianbi, especially from Nur Saleha, and also Nadziva from TNP. But unfortunately, due to the limitation of our time, I think we could stop the session right now. However, if you all the participants have any further questions, don't hesitate to send us an email containing your questions, and don't forget to write down your name and your organization you represent. We will pass it through to our speaker, and it will be replied soon. Finally, Mr. Harry, thank you for the sharing. It's quite interesting session, and I strongly believe that this session will bring a good knowledge improvement to all of the participants. Thank you again, Mr. Harry Santoso.
Once again, thank you very much, and apologize for any shortcoming in my presentation. Good morning, healthy greeting, and best wishes to all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Heri Santoso. Now, this is the end of the first session. I will return it back to Mr. Hadi and Ms. Ajrina. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bramantio, for guiding this session, and also Mr. Heri Santoso from PLN. That is very remarkable insight from PLN. And now please welcome the next speaker from TNB Malaysia, Mr. Zahari Bindola and Mr. Muhammad Ghosh, and also the co-speaker, Mr. Syed Ahmad Fuad, Mr. Lim Teken, and Mr. Zamin Zur. The session will be moderated by Mr. Bustani Hadi Wijaya. Please welcome.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Hadi and Ms. Ajrina. Thank you for letting me to be the moderator of the speaker from TNB Malaysia. My name is Bustani Hadi Wijaya. First, let me introduce Mr. Zahari Bintola as first speaker and Mr. Muhammad Ghosh bin Ahmad as second speaker. Mr. Zahari Bindola began his career with TNB in 1992. He got his master education on the Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Nagaoka University of Technology, Japan. Now, he works as Head of Asset Information in Asset Management Department, TNB. Today, Mr. Zahari Bindola is going to deliver the talk entitled TNB Distribution Network Smart Utility Overview. And also, the second speaker is Mr. Ghosh bin Ahmad. He began his career with TNB in 1990. He got his master education on the Master of Engineering Unit 10, Bangi, Malaysia. Now he works as project director at Advanced Metering Infrastructure, TNB. Today, Mr. Muhammad Ghosh bin Ahmad is going to deliver the talk entitled AMI, Deployment Strategy, Challenges, and Lesson Learned. Please, Mr. Zahari Bindola and Mr. Muhammad Ghosh bin Ahmad, the floor is yours.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, and we do good day to Mr. Bustani as session moderator today. First of all, I'd like to thanks to Hapwa to giving TNB opportunity to deliver a presentation related to AMI deployment in TNB. Today, we have a two-part of presentation. The first part is related to smart utility network under distribution network, this TNB. And second part, we represent with our Mr. Haji Ghosh related to MI implementation. So I just take a minute to share about our initiative related to smart utility. And part of the smart utility initiative actually MI implementation. So next slide, please. Okay, if you look into the journey of TNB distribution especially, in the early 90s, we already implement our electricity network for the whole country. About 94% of the country already giving electricity in 1990. And second phase, since we already deliver electricity to the nation, and from 1990 until 1919, our second phase, actually, we have to increase our efficiency in terms of electricity quality and reliability. So in the index measured in 2019, our SID already achieved 48%. So we still maintain that SID for last year, I think better than 48%. And in terms of World Bank ranking, getting electricity rank, we already achieved top 4 in 2019. So starting from 2020, we plan how to move TNB to the world-class utility. So in our management direction for distribution network, led by our Chief Distribution Network Officer, that we introduce Smart Utility 2025 initiative. Under this initiative, actually, not only to give better efficiency, stability, and sustainable electricity supply to customer and to the nation, but also to increase our maturity in terms of smart utility index or smart utility infrastructure to the nation. So in the slide also I shared here is in 2018, our scoring of smart utility index at 50%, and we increased 2% in 2019, and last year actually we received 62.8% smart utility scoring by SGI from Singapore Power. So in national agenda, a government already planned that renewable energy to the grid about 20% RE penetration by 2020 and 2025. So that's why our network also had to be robust, and we had to ready to adopt that 20% RE penetration. The second agenda in the nation also related to UOP21 target, which is by 2030, 40% CO2 emission. And then third target actually set by our government in 12 Malaysia Plan. They have 4 initiatives related to our smart grid initiative. The first one is smart meter, which is MI, that related to this today presentation, today's session. And then second one is smart street lighting, which is in our pipeline also. The third one is energy storage system, which is also in our project, part of our project. And the fourth is energy EV charging station to the nation. The whole initiative actually related to our smart initiative and also industrial revolution 4.0. So by introducing our smart utility, hopefully we can winning our customer in terms of energy efficiency, digital productive interaction, alternative energy sources. And second target is actually for upgrade our network, we call internally as grid of the future for reliable power supply, renewable energy integration, and efficient grid. The third one is economic development for the nation to create more local opportunities, job opportunities, boost local industry, and promote knowledge-driven economy. Next slide, please. Okay, how to develop smart utility framework and holistic grid modernization strategy. Actually, we in starting from 2012 really come out with a smart utility, grid maturity model, but we review every year. So that the last 2019, we already come out with a smart grid maturity model for distribution network. We call a smart utility model. And then after we complete that model, we come up with the assessment. Last year, I was scoring nearly 2. And then we target by 2025, I will score more than 4. So hopefully by achieve more than 4 scoring, we can be part of smart utility or smart grid best practice in the world. So next slide, please. Okay, based on our what we call our strategic holistic also, we already designed smart utility master plan to promote 20 key DN experience, which 5 operation domain to achieve our target state capability. The first one, actually, I think everybody know that the first one is in utility. We had to establish our asset management best practice. The second one is work management element. The third domain, actually, grid operation, is still in grid operation. The fourth one is, you can see number 4 there, actually energy management system. This is the new domain that we introduced to our the distribution network. And then the fifth, actually, customer management system to give empowerment to the customer. So if you can see that we divide into 5 years timeline or maturity, starting from fractional investing, following by integrating and optimizing. By implementing this what we call 20 key initiative experience, hopefully by 2025 we have aspiration set by we can meet our aspiration set by government and Tenaga Nasional to be part of smart grid player in the world. For asset management, we can reach as resource optimization. For work management, we can deliver connected smart worker. For grid operation, we can demonstrate self-healing grid. And the number 4 is energy management system. We can deliver energy efficiency utility. And then the domain number 5 for customer management, customer empowerment, we can deliver customer empowerment system. Next. So we already come out with a detailed plan and how to roll out the smart utility framework. Not only just framework, we come up with a detailed plan implementation. Then we also mapping up with the technology enabler that we have to roll out over the years, starting from last year. So you can see that 2020, our average is about slightly less than 2 in terms of our maturity capability. So our target in year 2023, we can achieve nearly level 3 or capability 3 in the whole nation. And then by 2025, hopefully we can achieve more than 4 maturity index in average. You can see that from we move from dark red map here, but at the center of Malaysia, we call center like Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya area, more maturity compared to other part of the nation. But by 2025, you can see that almost green at the center area, which is Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, and Putrajaya area, which is a lot of technology already rolled out with a lot of capability, but followed by other state. So this the maturity that we already what we call put in the map, but also we already plan properly so that we can deliver the technology and the capability also will increase, and then we can achieve our target by 2025. We can be part of smart grid player in the era of global smart grid initiative. So next. So this is the illustration of about 12 projects or initiative that we already what we call we already put in our roadmap. You can see that from the left, actually, the category of domain asset management, hopefully we can deliver resource optimization by introducing advanced analytic asset management system. And then also second domain actually work management, we can connected worker, smart worker. And then the system platform at the back, we call enterprise asset management system, which is integrated to advanced analytics for the asset management tools. And we link to the geospatial information system as a base asset data. And one of the important project also here, actually mobility solution, which is to be a smart worker. So currently, we already implement about more than 60% of our worker already utilize our smart mobile application. Move to the center actually for grid operation. Our target to demonstrate self-healing grid by 2025. So currently we are already setting up our advanced distribution and management system to replace our current operation system. Hopefully by 2023 we can commission the system, and then the same time also we develop and implement automation which is roll out the SCADA, and currently our penetration about 20%. I mean about of our network already connected with nearly 20% already connected to a SCADA system. And then at the same time also we implement workbar optimization to the grid. So hopefully by 2023 we can commission our advanced distribution management system and can we link to this system. And then the last one actually energy management system, and then also customer empowerment. Hopefully we can deliver more energy efficiency system and utility, and then also we can deliver customer empowerment initiative so that the customer we get a better what we call service from utility or from distribution network especially. So the platform that we plan to develop, we call a smart energy management system infrastructure, SEMI. So under this initiative also, we plan to increase our implementation of smart energy storage system, BESS, and implementing electric vehicle infrastructure, EV charging station facilities, and mini hydro refurbishment to make sure that our mini hydro also in good operation, and LED relamping to make sure that energy efficiency is carried out. But the most important here, also in this session, actually advanced metering infrastructure. For your information, we install more than 1 million meter up to date, and later our Tuaji Gauss and the team what we call session about our experience, our journey, and our goal related to advanced infrastructure. So that's all from myself related to initiative Smart Utility Project for the whole distribution network. And I pass over to moderator and Project Gauss to carry us through related to smart meter infrastructure implementation and our experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zahari. And next, Mr. Muhammad Kous bin Ahmed, you can show the deck, please. Mr. Muhammad Kous, your voice is not here. Mr. Muhammad Kous, excuse me. We cannot hear your voice. Gak bisa dengar juga kan sama Mas?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Maybe my mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. It's
All right.
clear.
Okay. Thanks again, Mr. Mustani. And again, thank you for having me and my colleague to share our experience in AMI implementation in Malaysia. Hopefully, this sharing can be useful for our counterpart in ASEAN utilities. I have with me my colleagues, Engineer Dr. Syama Fuad, who is the head of PMO, Project Management Office, and Engineer Lim Teck Ken, my head of technical, and also Mr. Zamin Zuhair, lead of PMO, to share some of part of the presentation later. Yeah. Next, please. Next. Okay, as you know, globally, AMI, Advanced Metering Infrastructure projects are growing. Yeah. And according to IoT Analytics Research 2019, average global penetration in 2019 was 14%. And as we see now, more and more countries are putting a lot of effort to start AMI implementation. We can see previous presentation by our colleague in PLN. We have started the research and study in going towards AMI implementation. As for Malaysia, we have started our journey about 4 to 5 years ago. And so far, as mentioned by Mr. Zahari, we have reached more than 1 million smart meter installations so far. Yeah. Next, please. In implementing the AMI, actually AMI is about the infrastructure, and there are key strategic questions that we need to answer and guide us before we start our AMI deployment. Question number one is who will receive our smart meters? Yeah? So that is very important for us to anticipate the volume and type of customer that we are looking at. And the second question we have to understand, are the technology that we are going to use, is it proven, and how is it being executed before this? So to do that, before we start, we are having a very comprehensive technology and also the vendor evaluation and understand their delivery capabilities, yeah, so that the implementation will be smooth and the technology that we use can cater for the demand and the objective of the project that we have put in. The next question is we need to understand how are we going to approach in terms of the meter deployment, because smart meter AMI is not about the meter replacement program. It has to do with the whole infrastructure, because if we don't put our effort to understand how we deploy our smart meters, we might have issue in getting or reaping all the benefits that the smart meters can give, right? Finally, in any projects, we have to understand how we track our projects so that the tracking can be used to understand whether the project is successful or not. Okay, so these are the questions that we ask to help us to start our AMI deployment. Yeah. Next, please. So as mentioned earlier, we started 4 to 5 years ago, where we started with our pilot projects in 2014 to 2016. So at this time, we do the study to understand what technology to use. We evaluate comprehensively all technology that we receive so that this technology can meet our objective. Number two, during this time, we also study what are the customer feedbacks in terms of smart meters, because this is something new for our customers, especially in this region. So we have to get some feedbacks for that. To do that, we deploy about 1,000 meters in small areas where we selected Melaka and our central Putrajaya, yeah, for our pilot. So after understanding the technology and decided the technology that we're going to use, we started in 2016 to 2018 to do small scale deployment. When we say small scale, we are talking about 300,000 meters so that we can get better understanding whether the technology we have evaluated give us the required what do you call that objective that we have put in. Number two, when we do 1,000 rollout in terms of pilot projects, the feedback that customer has given could be very small, so that when we do our small scale, we get better and more input from the customer on the implementation of smart meters. So after doing small scale deployment, we move to bigger scale deployment where we are now at this point doing the Klang Valley area, which is the Kuala Lumpur and the metro center of the Malaysia. Yeah. So we have planned our roadmap to finish all 9.2 million customers in Malaysia beyond 2024. Yeah. Next, please. So as everybody knows, AMI is not just a meter replacement program. It's about making our customers having a good experience, yeah, and accept the change that we are doing, right? So we also have to manage all the stakeholders that is involved in these projects. So to share on how we operate to deploy the AMI, I would like to invite Mr. Zamin Zuhair, our head of, PMO lead, to share with us how we operate and also the customer benefits that we're going to enjoy from this AMI implementation. Mr. Zamin? Mr. Zamin? He's being unmute. He's being mute, sorry. Can somebody unmute him, Mr. Zamin?
Excuse me, the host, please.
All right,
Mr.
thank
Zamin.
you. Can
Okay,
you hear
okay.
me now?
Yeah, yeah.
All
We can
right,
hear you.
thank you.
Clear.
Assalamualaikum, good morning.
Good morning.
Selamat siang to everyone. Yeah, my name is Zamin. So I have two slides today with me. First, I would like to talk about the structure of our project. So as you can see now in the slide, these are the current structure that we have for TMB-AMI project. It's very new. We only been using this structure for the past 1 year. This is because of the lesson learned that we had from Melaka, moving from 300,000 to 1.2 million, which is fourfold. So we noticed that we must do some changes in order to cater for a bigger rollout in terms of numbers. So we need a more robust and also regimented way of doing deployment. As you can see, these are the 6 streams that we have today. The two right, which is the technical and PMO, I think is probably a typical setup for any project of this size. What I would like to focus is on the deployment management and operations on the left. So deployment management basically is the brain, I would say, for AMI project in terms of planning the work orders and areas that we're going to go for deployment. So next, when they do those planning, so the customer stream is responsible to go on the ground and meet those people, those customers, and give them briefings in terms of what is smart meter, what are the benefits that they will enjoy after getting smart meters. But of course, during this COVID-19 pandemic, we are limited towards brochures and also online meetings and information sharing. So next, after the customer had done that, they will pass it to the deployment operations. So basically, the deployment operations in AMI, they are the arms and legs of our project. So these are the people that are on the ground. They are monitoring our installers on a day-to-day basis, and also looking at our smart meter inventory. So these are the arms and legs basically. So when the installations have completed, and we make sure that those meters are connecting and sending data, this is when the business transformation or change management team will come in. So basically, we as a project, our main objective is to install and making sure the data are coming in to our data center. And beyond that, we'll pass it to the asset owner, which reside in another department in distribution network. All right. So basically, that's the whole step of deployment that we are using today in terms of structure. And for now, this project under Tuan Haji Gauss, which is the project director, we have around 100 people strong, and we are being supported by a consultant PMO as well, around 20 to 30 people, and of course thousands more in terms of partners and vendors, because we totally outsource our installation. So that's what's happening now in terms of the structure. All right. So moving on to the next slide. Moving on to the next slide. I will talk about brief on the customer benefits that we have today. So basically, being among the remaining few vertically integrated utility in the world, we are very much highly regulated by our regulators here, which is the Energy Commission. So one of the main objective of EC is to look into the customers very dearly, I would say, in Malaysia. So even back in 2016, 2017, when we wanted to embark on this journey of AMI, the questions that EC or Energy Commission has been asking us, what are the benefits of smart meter that the customer will enjoy eventually? So as of today, if you can see in the red box, that's the basic customer offerings that we have today, which is the auto bill, energy consumption information via app and portal, and also remote power connect, reconnect, which is for the move in, move out of tenancy. So basically, this is what we have today, readily available. We call it a basic package. And hopefully for the next four, which is the power outage, notification, high consumption alert, time of use, and smart payment would be available by early 2022. So for this to be available, we are working closely with our retail arm in TNB, because they are the customer fronting arm for TNB in terms of customers, so they will be responsible for that. But I would like to share some experience with regards to the basic package that we have. For energy consumption and auto bill, during the last MCO, Movement Control Order, the government Malaysia imposed last March to April, if I'm not mistaken, to May, sorry. So this has become our star product. Just because that at that time we did not send our meter readers to go and read those meters on the field. So there were high percentage of estimates bill during that time. So except for the ones that we have installed with smart meter, so they actually enjoy an actual bill, and they also enjoy. They can also monitor the power consumption. And as you can imagine, at that time, people are sitting at home, working from home, and of course, the energy consumption gone up. So we have been using that testimony from, especially from people in Malacca, customers in Malacca. There were no complaints in terms of estimate bill. So we have been using that testimony as the storyline for us to get more installation in Klang Valley up until today. So that's all I have to share for you with you guys today. Glad to take any questions, probably after the end of our presentation. So for the next session, I pass it back to Tuan Haji Gauss. Tuan Haji, back to you.
All right, thank you. Next, please. As mentioned earlier, we have done a very comprehensive evaluation of technology. The two main factors that we are looking at on the evaluation is whether the technology is technically viable, and number two, whether it is commercially viable. So to explain about the architecture of the technology, I would like to invite my technical head, Engineer Lim Teck Ken, to share our experience in these technology aspects. Please, Engineer Lim.
Thank you, Tuan Haji. Before I proceed, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so what I will do is to summarize a little bit on the technical portion of the implementation in the next two slides. Now, if we look at the diagram that you can see on your screens right now, the key, I think the key consideration when we implement AMI is actually for TNB as a utility. It's for us as a utility to have the end-to-end control, right, of the entire network. So in doing so, what we have done and selected and done actually is to implement the AMI using the RF mesh as our main technology. Now, if you look at the RF mesh approach that we have taken, we have the meters on one end. We are looking at about more than 1 million right now, various meter types. Now, the meters will communicate with the RF extender bridge on a 2.4 gigahertz, and then it goes to the RF gateway on a 5.8 gigahertz frequency spectrum. Now, from the gateway itself, they are mostly placed in our TNB main intakes. It is totally connected to our TNB fiber network, all right? And that from the fiber network itself, it goes into the various head-end system, right? And also after that, it will be the MDMS and also TNB's enterprise system. So now, if you look at this architecture, right, from the meter itself up to the billing system, the entire architecture itself is owned and controlled by TNB, right? But of course, like all technologies that we have come across, we also have the cellular meters as filler technology for the areas that may not be so commercially viable to be handled by the RF meters. And the cellular meters itself also speak or communicate with the same head-end system as the RF itself, right? Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, apart from the network itself, a big portion of the implementation of AMI in Malaysia centers around the installation of meters. So I think we can imagine the volume that we're talking about, which earlier I think my colleague mentioned that we totally outsource the installation. Okay. Now for this purpose, what happens here is that we try to fully utilize the digital platforms. We go for mobility solutions. We want to automate the entire process itself from the point of creation of work orders to install meters at the various customers' premises, appointment management, and when you look at the entire cycle itself, from the point of installation, going to the customer's premises and doing the installation, we also use the same approach, or rather the opportunity to capture certain customer data, such as the coordinates, the locations, or where these customers are located. We load them, we implement those using our mobility system, a 3MS system on iPads and all that. And we then pass those information, or rather consolidate those information using the GIS that we have in place. So what we can see by doing, by approaching, going through this very digital and automated process is it allows us to scale, right? It allows us to scale. Small numbers might be fine doing manual, but when we're talking about 100,000, millions, the ability to scale becomes very important. And being fully digital in this approach helps us, and we can see an increase in productivity. We have visibility to whatever is actually being done, and we capture a lot of data that is very, very crucial and important for the utility to move forward to also provide the offerings and also meet the expectations of the customer. So basically in these two slides, that's the key essence that we want to share with everybody. All right, with that, I would pass it back to Tuan Haji Gauss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Lim. Take care. Next, please. As mentioned earlier, AMI implementation is new to us. We have experienced about 4 to 5 years. Definitely, there will be a lot of challenges that we are facing from day one that we start to implement. So to elaborate this, I would like to invite quick explanation and sharing by Engineer Dr. Simon Fuad on these challenges and lesson learned, so that everybody else can understand and maybe can use this for their implementation. Dr. Fuad.
Okay, thank you, Tuan Haji Gauss. Assalamualaikum and hello to everyone. I'm going to share with you the challenges that we have been experiencing throughout our MI deployment journey. If we look at the list, the challenges that we have been experiencing and their originators, we can easily put them. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
It's clear.
By looking at those issues and their originators, we can easily put them into few categories, namely the customers, operational deployment, supply chain management, as well as the technical aspect. To begin with, misconceptions of RS are concerned, as well as the perception of high bill due to the smart meters are the examples of the challenges that we face from our customer side. We find out that an effective way to measure this, to address this, lies in one word: engagement. Engagement. We have no other choice, but we need to engage our customers, educate them, to get their feedback, to make them aware the existence of smart meters, the benefit to them, as well as to the society at large. We have a problem. I think everybody has indeed facing a serious problem of the pandemic, COVID-19. And initially, we were struggling to achieve our target in terms of the deployment. We took a few steps backward, re-strategize, and then we redeploy according to the strict adherence to our SOP. Alhamdulillah, we managed to deploy the installation of smart meters. Poor RF mesh connectivity and managing the resources to deliver timely of the customer's requirements are the instances of the operational deployment that we face. We are addressing these issues through deploying the effective design planning as well as the project management respectively. Next please. Beside close monitoring of our service provider performance, timely and high quality delivery from our meter vendors, from our smart meter installers are achieved by developing multi-vendors program, as well as fairly distribution of work or contracts among them. This ensures that they have sufficient works to serve us. we find out that one of the major challenges in managing this AMI project, which have the characteristic of the high capital intensive and impactful to our billing system, is cybersecurity. This is the main reason why we take every precaution to do it right at the first time. So that is why we explained we perform the required assessment tests as well as multiple audits conducted to continuously address this concern, because we know that cybersecurity is a major threat to every initiative, not only MI but our SCADA as well. Our cybersecurity teams from ICT division is alert 24/7 on possible threat of these challenges. Anticipating growth and allow sufficient buffer is one of our strategy used when we are scaling up our installation as well as managing the volume of data, because we know that AMI generate myriad of data. So we are allowing this buffer in order for us to address these issues. So we ensure our IT infrastructure is robust enough to support our deployment. So with that, I am handing over the presentation back to our Haji Gaus, and I would like to welcome any suggestion, any comment, or any question after this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Syed. Just to conclude, I think we are going through a very exciting 4 to 5 years of implementing AMI. Right? I think the capability of our people also has increased tremendously, and I can see that the important thing is we have to have these good coordinations, huge collaboration, and high professionalism that's shown by our team and all the stakeholders involved in making sure this journey is successful. With that, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the great and interesting presentation from Mr. Zahari bin Dola and Mr. Muhammad Kaus bin Ahmad. Presentation, it can be seen that a smart utility project is built to improve the future of the TNB distribution network, that better asset management, smart workers, self-healing grid, energy efficiency, and also better customer empowerment. And now we proceed to the question and answer session. Because of the limitation of the time, I'm sorry, I'm not read all of the question. So I choose only some of the question. This is the interesting question from Miss Sripani Intan, Sripani Intan. She is the minister. She is from Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. The question is for Mr. Muhammad Zahari bin Dola. The question is, can you inform the approach on the phase of implementation of AMI? Is it multi-system or multi-vendor system, or the method system should follow the TNB standard and system? It's for both in pilot project and 1 million plan. The question is for Mr. Muhammad Kaus bin Ahmed. And also for Mr. Zahari bin Dola, Ms. Intan also asked about what is the key success factor in the implementation of smart grid in Malaysia, and how government support. Please describe briefly. And also, it is interesting question also from Mr. Wahyu Haris from Icon Plus. It is a subsidiary of the PLN. He asked for TNP, especially for I think Mr. Zahari bin Dola, about would you like to explain about financial and business model of implementing this AMI? Is it by government or corporate capex, or is it possible to collaborate in with private sector? That's the question. Please.
Can I answer the question first from Mr. Penny Intent?
Yeah.
Actually, when we the question is on the approach on the phase of implementation. As mentioned earlier, we started with small scale. So having going through the experience, so we have embarked into bigger scale in implementing the MI. From the experience that we had 2-3 years, now we are moving in terms of mass deployment so that we can get the numbers faster now compared to before. So we started with small. After gaining experience, we move on to mass deployment. As for the multi-vendors, we have our multi-vendors and we have our own standards. That standard is being certified and using the international standards, and all the equipments are certified by our regulator. I think as you know, SIRIM is our what do you call that representative of the government in terms of making sure of the quality system is being met, and this is following what the regulator in terms of electricity regulator and the communication regulator. So yes, we use standard that is being certified by our regulator. Hopefully that answered the question.
Okay, I will take the second question from Intan also related to success factor. Okay, when we design what we call smart grid initiative or smart grid projects, we have to make sure that this project we give a benefit to our customer, 9 million customer, to give benefit also to the nation. That's one of the most important factor that we have to deliver that. And then the one is to deliver benefit to the organization or shareholder for Tenaga Nasional Berhad. So after we come out with the what we call the benefit that we're supposed to deliver, we have to choose the methodology or technology that we're supposed to implement in terms of smart grid project. And we had to simulate what we call value creation that we're supposed to deliver. So since our project already started a few years ago, we can see that last year also we already deliver a lot of things to the customers, to the nation, and then also to the TNB itself. For example, what I explained in presentation just now, if related to SCADA system, for example, we can manage our SID below 50, and then last year also we get better SID compared to previous year. And then also certain location that we already implement AMI, for example, especially in Melaka, we already rolled out Melaka last year and year before. So we can see that our what we call our service to the customer better now because of in terms of billing system, in terms of what we call a customer requirement. Actively we can support the customer support system. And then also we can improve our connectivity to the customer because we increase our connectivity or visibility to the customer. And also to the nation because of we can increase productivity by implementing our digital workforce. So we can minimize or optimize our OPEX by introducing that smart grid technology. So that's our success factor. Also, the second part of the question actually related to support from governments. The whole initiative that I explained just now related to smart grid project or smart utility project, actually under regulated business. That means whatever we spend, actually we reflect our tariff. So our government very positive on this initiative, and then we also have what we call enough capability, enough budget to implement our smart grid initiative in TMB and distribution particularly. And then also, if you look into my presentation just now, we have initiative from government we call MESI, which is this initiative actually to give better what we call energy service to the nation. And then also government already put in the plan that by 2025 about 20% are penetration to the grid. Of course, TMB as a network provider, we had to implement smart grid initiative so that we can support government agenda to 20% representation. And then the third one actually smart grid, smart city initiative, and also we will support government in terms of 4 initiatives that I explained in my presentation just now. I think hopefully I already answered that question from that question.
Okay, thank you. It was an interesting question and answer session. Unfortunately, due to the time limitation, we have halt now. However, if you have any question, you may send it to us. For example, from TS Brunei, they ask about the type of the communication that the NP use, and from Derry, Yoga, Harisma Utomo, Mr. Dudi, and Miss Annie from PLN Indonesia. We will forward it to Mr. Zahari Bindola and Mr. Muhammad Kaus bin Ahmad. Please do not forget to mention your name and email, and also fill the attendance list shown in chat box. Finally, Mr. Zahari Bindola and Mr. Muhammad Kaus bin Ahmad, thank you for the deck. It was very interesting. I personally believe that all of the audience get a lot of insight from your presentation. Now, I will return the floor to Master of Ceremonies. You may proceed now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the wonderful session delivered from Tenaga Nasional Berhad. Next session is still about MI deployment session, but especially in Thailand. Please welcome Mr. Nathanon Chacharenyasa from MIA and Mr. Daniel Tampu Bolon as the moderator. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Adrina and Hadi. Good morning, Asian. Good morning, Papua. My name is Daniel Tampu Bolon. I am from PLN Indonesia, and I will be the moderator for this session. To add the excitement, I would like to brief you an introduction to our distinguished speaker from the Metropolitan Electricity Authority, MEA, Thailand, Mr. Nathanon Chotiranyasa. Mr. Nathanon finished his bachelor and master degree in Chulalongkorn University of Thailand, majoring in electrical engineering. He is now the chief of Smart Grid Planning Section in Power System Planning Department, MEA, Thailand. And now, without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Nathanon Chotiranyasa with his presentation on Smart Metro Grid, the deployment of MEA AMI pilot project. Dear audiences, you can put all your questions in the chat box as the presentation is carried out, and also write your name and organization. Mr. Nathanon, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, and thank you for inviting me to share the MEA experience in this webinar. And good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, today I'm going...
Mr. Nathanon, carry it out.
Okay. Today I'm going to present you the Smart Metro Grid project, the first MI pilot project in MEA. Okay, let's start with the Thailand National Energy Policy Overview. Yes, the first 20-year national strategic framework, which include the smart grid development under the strategy number 2, competitive enhancement. And then we have the 5-year energy reform plan with smart grid development related to the 4 aspects, encouraging good governance in the energy management, energy security, and alternative energy, and also the preservation of the energy at the every level, both the household and industrial level. And next, we have the 20-year Thailand Smart Grid Development Master Plan, which has the 5 strategy to formulate the smart grid development framework, power reliability and quality, and energy sustainability and efficiency, utility operation and service, integration and interoperability, and economic and industrial competitiveness. And in MEA, we also set the plan, MEA Smart Grid Plan, aligned with the national policy with the 3 pillars. The first is excellent reliability and power quality. The second is the excellent service. And the last one is the excellent energy. Now, we are implementing the AMI pilot project to enhance the reliability and service. So this is the single line diagram of the substation for the digital monitoring yesterday. In MEA, we have the SCADA, EMS, and DMS to monitor the high and medium voltage system. And now we are going to monitor at the low voltage system by installing the smart meter at the household level and also at the distribution transformer. And that's why we are going to for the digital monitoring today, high volt, medium volt, and low volt system. And here is the scope of the smart meter grid project. It's composed of the 5 subsystems. The first subsystem is the smart meter. We install around 20,000 CNI customer and around 11,000 residential customer. And the second system is the transformer load monitoring, or the TLM. Will cover all the Compton district, one of 18 districts in MEA service area. And the third one is the outage management system. We will use the data from the smart meter is the input is this system, and connect to the database of the MDMS with the GIS. And the first subsystem is a load aggregator management system to support the demand response program in Thailand. And to put this all together, we need the ICT integration system as a middleware to exchange the data. And here is the smart meter grid overview. The blue block is the existing system in MEA, and the orange block is the smart meter grid component. This project is maybe like the other country. This project uses the RF mesh technology, use the frequency is 442 megahertz as the main communication between the last mile meter and the gateway. And the communication between the gateway and the head-end system, we use the cellular network 3G or 4G. And the system, the TLM, MDMS, LAMS, and OMS will connect to the ICT integration bar to exchange the data and also to connect with the MEA existing network. This is the smart meter grid overview. And also this is the smart meter for the distribution transformer, and also CNI we also install at the solar PV meter. And this is a residential customer. And the total is around 33,000 meters. And the expected benefits are as below. The fundamental and the basic function of the smart meter is to improve the billing accuracy. And also with the customer who know the load profile of their own, they can manage the energy consumption maybe to decrease the electricity bill. And with the smart meter data, we can improve the outage management and outage restoration. And okay, with the load profile, we can drive the energy efficiency program and also the demand response program. And with the data from the smart meter and transformer at the low level, we can use it to monitor and manage the loss. And also with the integration with the DG, distributed generation, and also electric vehicle, also for the improved grid reliability for the voltage, load profile, and the grid flexibility. And the last but not least, we would like to test the communication system before the rolling out. And this project is what we are confident that it will fulfill and suitable for the coming futures. And the main software in this project is the Oracle, and here is the Oracle system overview. This is the Oracle Utilities Market Gateway. Is to manipulate the data from the head-end system and to use in the Oracle module such as meter reading, VE validation, estimation and editing, event manager and reporting, and also with the 360-degree dashboard or many modules inside, and also with the data in the MDMS, the utility can use it for the data analytics, and also with the integration bars, it can connect to the external system and also with the MEA existing system, as I mentioned earlier. And as you may know very well, this is the comparison feature of the electronic AMR and smart meter in MEA. So maybe in the orange shade shadow is a power outage notification. Is when the power is outage, the smart meter can send the last gap signal, and when the power restore back on, the smart meter can send the first break signal to the system. Also, we can remotely upgrade the configuration and firmware, and also report an alarm and event and the self-device registration when we install the meter. And for the direct connected meter, we can limiting the load at the customer and also remote connect, disconnect, and also maybe in the future we'll use the prepayment program. And as I said earlier, yes, there are 4 types of the meter in this project, and CNI meter location and solar meter location, and the transformer load monitoring at only the Krongtei district in the pilot area, and residential pilot meter location, just residential. And the geographic location, latitude and longitude will be used to decide the gateway position. And at the initial design, there are 118 gateways to cover all the 33,000 meters. So it's scattered or distributed along the MEA service area. So the question may arise, in the future, how many customers can be connected to the existing gateway? So as for the specification, one gateway can support the meter up to 1,000. Yeah. So we use only 34 gateways now. Anyway, for the in case the redundancy or one gateway is failed, so the capacity is we should design left to the 500. So we use the 67 gateway. However, as designed in this project by the geographic location, we will use a 118 gateway, and it's so the one gateway support around 300 meters. So in the future, so in this project can support the customer around 25,000 customers. So it will be use the gateway capacity up to 500. Okay, 500 meter per custom per meter. And this is the picture of the smart meter hardware and the communication module inside. And put this. And this there are 4 meter types in this project: single phase, direct connected, and 3-phase direct connected, and with the T-phase 4Y and the T-phase 3Y instrument connected, and we use the gateway. And for the hardware server for the head-end MDMS, LMS, OMS, and TLMS, SOA ICT integration box. So for the data storage, so in this project, we have the online storage and the historical storage, and the storage for both main and backup side support the system, such as the head-end MDMS and the main file subsystem. And the assumption is an interval reading, 15 minutes per meter, and reading meter times per day is 96. And in this project, we purchased the license to the 240,000 license, and we calculate around 70% is 1-phase and 30% use the 3-phase meters. And for the transaction byte is around 700 byte per meter. So to sum up in this, so 1 year we use we have to use the hard disk capacity is around 21 terabyte. So this is data storage for this project. And this project is not finished. It's during implementation. The project duration is 900 days. So here we are at the first quarter of this year. Now it's in the process of system design of the Oracle software to match the MBA business. And now we are continuing to replace the smart meter for both residential, commercial, and industrial to replace the old meter. Yeah. So this is our progress right now at the first quarter. And we expect that we can use the product at the end of the fourth quarter this year. So for the lesson learned until now, so the first topic I would like to share is the device and platform interoperability. So for we use the DLMS COSEM protocol between the meter to the head-end to the MDMS. So in case DLMS standard should be specified for the communication between the RF module and gateway. So the RF module can be used for different meter brands. We can plug it in and or can be reused. And for the COSEM object and OBIS code standard should be specified in the TOR clearly for any smart meter manufacturer to set these with the same code to MEA. And this maybe is the challenges to any utility. The RF module and gateway and head-end system cannot be used among the different vendor and platform. And that's why now we are consideration in the rolling out process. So maybe MEA we have the 2 solutions, single MDMS and single head-end with the one gateway can can be connected to the different meter bands. This is the first solution, one single MDMS and one single head end, or one MDMS with a multiple head end. So in the rollout, maybe in MEA there are 4 million customers. Maybe the first phase is maybe 1 million customer we use meter band A, and the next 1 million customer we will use the meter band B. Yes. Now is it a consideration in the rolling out process. The second point is the technical challenges. Maybe now we use the RF communication, and this is a crucial factor in the high-rise building in an underground floor in the middle room with the metal coverage. So maybe it can be the weak signal, and we have to think about the communication and system performance for the Q volume interval data package, maybe in the high density area. For the network planning and coverage, how to roll out the gateway, maybe 118 gateway is not enough to cover all the smart meter communication, and maybe to think about the effective fallback in case of the redundancy. And in this project, we install the smart meter of the customer by the substation and by feeder. So we will use it to monitor the loss level at the low voltage system. So we will select the customer according to the power system analysis. Yes. And the third point is the complexity. So the smart meter grid is composed of the 5 subsystems. So MEA internal collaboration is the one of the important key success factor. So we choose standard, that is the business process and design, and we have the working group team like the TNB to work on it. And in MEA for the department related to use the smart meter data, we have to align the design of the OBIS code in the meter to fulfill the business requirement. And since the smart meter grid need an integration with the MEA like the GIS and MEA Smart Line application, or it's a mobile application in MEA, SCADA, EMS, field form management, and billings. So the support for and the timely development of the other system are important. With the integration with the billing system is crucial to realize the benefit of the smart meter grid project. In MEA, we can conduct the billing assessment real time, maybe for in the future, for the deregulated market. The distancing, like this is the first point, like the other country, due to the coronavirus pandemic, some vendor experts from the foreign country cannot come to Thailand. So they are offsite, especially with the different time zone, may not fully understand the requirement, and it's ineffective communication. And COVID-19 causes the shipment delay and manufacturer delay. And during this time, meter installation is not allowed in some buildings. And the last issue is the special government announcement, such as the state of the emergency, curfew, and work from home policy, caused the project delay. And this is the future vision. Yeah, we would like to expand or roll out the smart meter grid solution to all MEA customer. And the second point is the multi-utility synergy. We use the innovate the smart meter grid solution for synergizing with the other utility, maybe with the smart water meters. And the last point is to integrate the smart meter grid solution for the smart community. And according to the MEA vision, energy for city line and energized smart living, we are going to the data empowered utility. And And here is my presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Natanon. You have such comprehensive presentation. Now we move to Q&A session. Bear with me, Mr. Natanon, as I read the question to you. The first one is from Ms. Asikin from TNB. Hi, what's the business model currently adopted by Thailand and Indonesia for AMI projects? Maybe for you, adopted by Thailand for AMI project. Please, Mr. Nathan.
So with the business model?
Yes. So I assume this is related to the CapEx or the OpEx. How do you deal with the arrangement, the business model?
Actually, yes, sorry. Okay, actually for the CapEx and OpEx in this project, maybe this is a plan of project. Maybe this project is maybe not likely to feasible, but maybe we like the data from the smart meter to improve many actually for the network planning and asset management, and also with the improve the outage management to reduce the site by the smart meter data, and for the demand response and for the reducing loss. So we will invest for the operational expense. Maybe if we have more data, I think the capex will be reduced. Maybe we will defer the distribution expansion, or we will utilize the distribution transformer more efficiently. Yes, we would like to also to sum up in this, we would like to use the data from the smart meter to enhance for both the reliability and power quality and the service.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nathan. Secondly, we have from Brunei. To all AMI implementers, have you encountered meter tampering issue? I guess you have in the slide that you have that feature, yeah, meter tampering issue. How do you elaborate on this, Mr. Nathan?
Yes, this. So in like this, yeah, maybe like the other country for the tampering. Now we use the software with the TLM. Now we install the smart meter at the low level, and we install the smart meter that we call the TLM at the low voltage side of the distribution transformer. So we will use to calculate the power out of the distribution transformer and to minus with the sum of the energy from the smart meter. So if maybe it's around maybe more than 2 or 3%, maybe it will alert to the MEA operator to check. Yes.
Okay, excellent. The last, yeah. And this is from Mrs. Sripeni Intan Chahayani from MEMR. Do EGAT implement AMI with strategic partner scheme? Do you have any knowledge on EGAT project? If not, that's okay, I think.
Maybe not really, because MEA and PA is the main customer of the EGAT, and because I think around 24 million customer is belong to MEA and PA. Maybe 20 million for the PA and 4 million to the MEA. So I think the customer of the EGAT, I think is around 100. So maybe the only 100 customer to EGAT. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
maybe I'm not sure. Yeah.
the PEA and MEA facilities are actually the customers of EGAT. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that is clear. I'm sorry to all the audiences due to the time limitation. All the questions will be collected by the organizing committee and will be sent to Mr. Nathanon, and I'm sure he will be happy to answer. So, Mr. Nathanon, finally, I cannot agree more with the vision of realizing smart community through the integration of smart grid technologies. I will warmest thank you to Mr. Nathanon. Back to you, Adrina and Hadi. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
And thank you very much for the remarkable insight from MEA Thailand. And the last but not least, please welcome Mr. Eng Chi Keong from SP Group and Mr. Revi Adrian Sinuringa as the moderator for our last session. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ajina and Hadi. Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Revi Adrian. Now I'm going to be the moderator of this last presentation session, which will be as the brief introduction. Mr. Eng Chi Keong graduated from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, with a bachelor degree in electrical and electronics engineering. Mr. Eng Chi Keong first joined SP Group in 2010 as an engineer with electrical meters section, and currently, Mr. Eng Chi Keong is the head of section of electrical meter sections. Today, Mr. Eng Chi Keong is going to deliver a presentation entitled Use Cases. But before we proceed to the presentation, I would like to remind all the participants, please do not hesitate to write down your questions in the chat box. So without further ado, please, Mr. Eng Chi Keong, you have your time and the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting SV Group to this inaugural webinar. We're really grateful for this chance to share with you the AMI journey that Singapore has did. So without further ado, and in the essence of time, let me bring up the deck. Okay, can you guys see? Revi?
Yes, so clear.
Right. So I'm Eng Chi Keong from head of section electrical meters. So I've been with the company for about 10 years. Let me bring you to the beginning why Singapore started on this smart meter journey. Okay, so in Singapore, for the electricity market, before 2014, all right, the contestable market, that means whereby consumers can buy electricity from the retailers, was only limited to commercial and industrial customers. So in 2014, there was actually a government push to lower the contestability threshold. So this accumulated in what we call the open electricity market in 2018, whereby all electricity consumers in Singapore, including all the residential customers, are able to purchase electricity from the retailers. So the reason why we began the smart meter journey was to prepare for this OEM in 2018. Okay, so let me now give you a look at how the AMI network is in Singapore. Okay, this is the topology of the AMI network in Singapore. So on the left-hand side, you see the network management system, or what we call the head-end systems. In the middle, which is the transport layer for the data, is primarily helmed by our metropolitan area network, which is the fiber optic network that that is maintained by SP in our distribution and transmission stations. And of course, we have this fallback network, which the previous presenters have also shared, which is depending on the telco, which is the 3G. On the right-hand side, the local area network and the WAN is actually in the 920 to 925 megahertz mesh radio network. And in Singapore, this is under the industrial ISM band, which is regulated by the regulator in Singapore. So for the AMI meters, they actually talk to each other on this 900 megahertz band, and subsequently the data goes to the access point, which is housed at our distribution and transmission substations, and subsequently it will go through our fiber optic network. So in areas whereby it's hard to reach because of the highly built up condition of Singapore, we will rely on the micro access point, or what we call the micro AP, which is actually based on the telco SIM card. Okay, so this is a picture showing how the access points look like. The access points actually behave as gateways that connect between the endpoints and our network management system. And they are installed mostly at transmission substation rooftops. And the transmission stations belong to SP Group. And typically, they are high-rise buildings for the coverage due to the RF propagation. For the in between, meaning to say between the access points and the endpoints, which are the meters, we will have what we call the relays. The relays are actually repeaters that help to boost the radio frequency or RF coverage around the area, and it is installed at distribution substation. Distribution substations, they may not belong to us. Some of them actually belong to customers' installations. So if we are to install at those sites that belong to customers, we will actually have to get permission from the landlord before we install. And how the relays are actually situated, they are strategically located around access points. Again, it is to ensure that the RF coverage is strengthened. Okay, one design of the AMI communications in Singapore's context is we have this self-healing network feature. So for every smart meter, or what we call the AMI meter in the field, it will see both a primary access point and also a secondary access point. This is to allow the data to be able to have a secondary path to come back to the data center or the backend in the event that the primary access point fails. So the reason is because we want to ensure that all the meter readings are actually captured and not lost in the event of hardware failure. So this is what we call the self-healing network. Okay, for the micro AP, which I mentioned just now, we actually rely on the 3G network provided by the telco. And this is the network interface card, or the RF card that is installed on the meter, is something that we will attach a SIM card that is tied to a telco. And this will be replaced to be swapped out with the modular network interface card on the meter. So for the smart meters in Singapore, we actually have a modular design whereby the network card can be replaced out. So in Singapore context, especially those areas whereby it's underground, whereby usually the meters are located, when there is no RF coverage, these hard to reach places, our comms team will actually do a swap of the network interface card from the RF version to the 3G network telco version. And this helps to overcome those hard to reach areas whereby RF is not available. Okay, so now we will having a look at the communications portion. Let us now take a look at the smart meters. Okay, so for the smart meters in Singapore, is based on the DLMS COSAN protocol. We will use the 4-quadrant energy meter with the modular plug-in meter communication unit, or what we call the network interface card. And of course, it's able to record half-hourly consumption data. In terms of the meter functionalities, the meter is able to do bi-directional metering, events recording, alarms reporting, remote meter firmware, meter configuration and tariff update, remote disconnection and reconnection of supply. Okay, another feature of the smart meters that we have is this last gaps alarm. So this is the only push alarm that will come out from the meter when there is a loss of power to the meter itself. And these last gaps will be pushed back to the network management system. And currently we are tapping it to be linked to our outage monitoring system. So in terms of the evolution of meters, this is what happened when we introduced smart meters in Singapore. So on the left-hand side, back in the days when we have not a non-smart meter, for residential consumers, we will take at least one bi-monthly reading. So there will be an actual read every 2 months. So what this means is that the readings are actually estimated on the alternate months. So there will be no, in 1 year, there will only be 6 actual reads. Also, in terms of the anti-tampering protection, it is just via the physical meter seals. And for tampering detection, you have to be visual. But however, on the right-hand side, for the smart meter landscape, with all the events recording and the alarms recording that we have, and also with the remote ability to do firmware upgrades or program changes, we are able to actually read actual reads from the meter every single month. And this is a boon because especially during this COVID period, like what the other utilities have also shared, the ability to read back the readings via remotely was very critical during this period. And just to highlight, for the modular comms, this is something that we had designed back in 2014 when we first launched the smart meter. And the main aim was to avoid interruption of supply to the consumer. So in the event there is anything wrong with the communication unit or the network interface card, the modular design allows the communication card to be actually swapped out. And this helps to avoid interruption of supply and inconvenience to the consumer. Okay, so smart meter deployment in Singapore. We started in April 2014 with 8,000 meters. So in 2019, we were about 378,000. And as of currently, we are at about 540,000 meters. The aim for Singapore right now is to replace all the electricity meters to smart meters in the next 5 years. Okay, so now I'll come to the AMI use cases that we have implemented for Singapore using AMI. Okay, this is what we call the smart prepaid metering system. So in the prepaid system, previously, it was actually a meter-centric system, meaning to say for the consumers, they actually have a token by which they actually have to go to the 7-Elevens or postal offices to actually top up the credit, and they take the token back to their meters at their home, and they use the token to insert into the meter so that the credit can be topped up and they can continue to use the electricity. So smart meters or AMI actually allow us to move the prepaid system from a meter-centric to a building and system-centric metering system. What does that mean? So for example, looking at the second point, um, because of the smart meter's ability to remote switch the program type, meaning to say the meter program, we actually utilize AMI in this smart prepaid metering system landscape to allow a consumer to switch between prepaid and postpaid mode. So for example, a customer who is currently on postpaid, in some circumstances have to become prepaid. So once the application has been completed, we can actually, in the past, we need to go and replace to a prepaid meter, all right? But right now, we in the AMI landscape, we can actually do a remote meter program change to the smart meter, and automatically the meter will switch from the postpaid to the prepaid mode. At the same time, because of the timeliness of the metering data and the RF communications, it allows us to actually enable communication via SMS alert to notify the prepaid customers if they are on low credit balance, or if they have activated emergency credit because they may not have the time to go and top up, and also remote disconnection and reconnection. This is actually simplifies a lot of things and also reduce the physical work that needs to be done, because all the data is actually transmitted via RF from the smart meter back to the NMS, and this NMS system is linked to the smart prepaid metering system, and that's how the triggers are being pushed. At the same time, for the last point, it allows automated remote disconnection when the emergency credit is depleted, and remote reconnection when the credit balance is positive. What does this mean? This means that to the consumer himself, to the prepaid customer, he does not have to spend so much time to go to a counter or to call in to inform of all these statuses. These statuses are actually remotely read by the meter and transmitted back to the head end. And from there, we are able to send all these automated notification to the customer, and allows a lot of convenience to these customers. So on the right hand side, the picture is actually this utilities app that SP Group has developed. So in Singapore, if you have a smart meter, you will be able to view the daily, the monthly, and also the yearly consumption data. And this availability of the interval reads, right, the half-hour interval reads, not only benefits these so-called prepaid customers because it alerts them to how much they are using, and also give them a sense of how much credit is sufficient or whether they need to top up. But at the same time, this regular update of interval data allows the prepaid customers to manage their own energy consumption, and this has been a boon to the consumers. The next use case I'm going to share with you is what we have a small project called the smart metering for multi-utilities. So for SP Group, we are actually the meter reader, the meter data manager, and also the billing agent for elect, gas, and water. So there was actually this project to explore whether this remote ability to read electricity meters can also be deployed on gas and water meters. So the project called for it was a CFP, a call for proposal, and we actually had vendors coming in who designed IMUs or interface management units that gets plugged onto the gas meters and onto the water meters. And these interface management units, IMUs, will be able to talk back to the constantly powered device, which is the electricity meter next to them. And the data from the water and gas meters are then remotely pumped back to the headend system. So this was a trial, and the technology was proven, but the technology has not been mature yet. So this was a use case that we explored using AMI. And finally, the outage monitoring system. So recall the last gaps alarm, which I mentioned, which was the only real-time push alarm from the smart meter that goes back to the NMS. So this signal is actually tapped on and routed to the outage monitoring system. And the control center for power grid, they will be able to see localized outages from the meters. And this helps the emergency team to actually decide whether it is a localized event or there's something else that they need to pay attention to further upstream. So this particular last gas alarm feature that's being tapped to the outage monitoring system is something that's very useful and has actually helped us also in the customer service aspect. As now, customers can actually, when they call us, we will actually tell them that, hey, I know where the outage is happening. Someone is already on the way to attend to the fault. So instead of being reactive, now we have the foresight and we are being preventive in the nature of answering these calls. And that's all I have to share for today. Thank you so much. Ravi, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ang. That was a great presentation, and there are several notes worth mentioning that I got. The first is especially about the short period of time that SP Group took from the first deployment of AMI meters in 2014 until the rollout of the OEM in 2018. Well, it was great. It was only 4 years. And then the second is about the several use cases in SP Group, which include first the smart prepaid metering system, and the second is the SMMEU, the smart metering for multi-utilities, in which AMI is used to integrate metering and billing for functions of electricity meters, gas meters, and water meters. I think Mr. Ang mentioned that it was still in the exploration phase, yeah?
Yes.
And then the third one is about the outage monitoring system, the so-called last gas element. That was great, Mr. Ang. Now we shall proceed to the question and I can see that there are a lot of questions already in the chat box. I will pick maybe questions from first Mr. Lim Taken from TNB. There are two questions from Mr. Lim Taken. The first one is, Mr. Ang, what is the established SLA with the various telcos that serve AMI in Singapore? And then the second one is last gas offered as a feature to the customer or only for utility reference? Please, Mr. Ang.
Okay, so to answer the first question, what is the established SLA with the various telco that serve AMI in Singapore? So for the telcos, they actually have their own regulator in Singapore, which we call the IMDA. So their service level is we rely on the service level that these telcos have under their licensee agreement with the telco regulators. So because this for SP, when we took on the 3G so-called the micro AP feature from the telcos, it is equivalent to an organization signing a telco data plan with the telcos. And the telco SLAs with the telco regulator is actually very high. So as of now, for SP Group, we have not faced any much issue with respect to the SLA. So it's not a direct contractual relationship between the utility and the telcos, but really more of the utility us as another customer of the telco utilizing their telco features for our business. Yeah. For the second question, is last gaps offered as a feature to the customer or only for utility reference? Right now, it is for utility reference, but we do have some work in progress to explore offering this to the consumer. But there is still a work in progress and we are in the exploration stage. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ang. I think we still have more time to one question. Yeah, there's a question from Mr. Andaswara from PLN Distribution of Central Java. Mr. Ang, can you explain the costs and benefits of usage of RF mesh and 3G connection in the implementation of AMI in SP? Which one is better? Please, Mr. Ang.
Okay. The cost and benefits of usage of RF versus 3G. Of course, for 3G connection, you are paying a telco, so it's a cost. But however, if you rely on RF frequency mesh, for which the backbone, the infrastructure actually belongs to SP, in the long-term wise operation and maintenance, it is still cheaper than using a telco. Of course, although the telcos do offer us some kind of corporate rates for the business side, but in the end, as the utility and our obligation is to ensure that the interval reads actually come back all the 48 intervals. So we are more inclined to owning the network. We are more inclined to owning every single piece of the transport layer. So end of the day, yes, RF mesh will benefit the utility with respect to the accuracy and the ability to ensure that we can control how the data flows back. That's why I mentioned just now for the 3G portion or the micro AP portion, even just for context, right now we are actually about 540,000 meters, but only slightly less than 8% use micro APs. And actually out of this 8%, some can still be harvested, meaning to say I can actually replace out with RF module. So in terms of the network connectivity wise, RF is quite strong in Singapore, despite the built up and underground situations. Otherwise, the RF mesh landscape will still be more beneficial and cost effective. Yeah.
Okay, so you mean that it still depends on the location as well, yeah? But in SP Group, RF mesh is better than any other communication means.
Yes, yes, correct.
I see. Well, I just got information from the committee. I think we still have time for more questions. There's one question from Vicky from SEB Malaysia. Do you mind sharing the site implementation process at site? For instances, who is the meter installer and any hindrance or issue in the process while converting normal meter to AMI meter? Is it clear for you, Mr. Ang?
Yes, I'm looking at the question. Okay, so Vicky, hi. Okay, for Singapore context, where we did the meter replacement, okay, for AMI meter rollout in Singapore, it was based on an opt-in raise hand concept, meaning to say the customer actually have to opt in to become a contestable customer, and we will receive the notification to actually go and replace the non-smart to a smart meter. All right. We actually utilize both our staff and also contractors, of which the contractors is the greater portion. In terms of the process, the main problem at the onset is actually getting an appointment with the consumer, because for meter replacement, it typically involves supply interruption. And in Singapore context, consumers are not very happy to have electricity disrupted, especially during this work from home period. Yeah. So that's the first onset. The second onset is in Singapore context, most of the households are actually behind gated communities. Or what would I say? It's like, for example, it's a apartment whereby there's a security guard house at the front. So typically, a consumer, when he or she applies for to become contestable, we will contact the consumer directly for an appointment. But when our staff or the contractors approach the gated community, in terms of security, in terms of notification, they may stop us and they will say that, hey, I'm not aware. Go and get the resident to come and tell me that you guys are coming. So there are quite a little bit of all these little nuances on site, but we are able to manage. All right. The other thing will be the supply interruption portion. So typically the meter replacement is very fast. For an experienced staff or contractor, probably it takes about 10 minutes or so. Yeah. But it is really after post meter replacement, whether if the RF coverage is strong enough, whether the reads, the meter gets activated back in the system and the reads start coming back. So when we first started in 2014, it was quite challenging. My comms counterparts, I have a bunch of colleagues from the communication sites. They actually run around doing remediation. It was very, very tough work. That was in the beginning. But right now, typically almost every meter that we put up, it will be read back by the system by the next day. So in between 2014 until today, this is what we have achieved, and I think there are some of the sharings that we have. Yeah, thanks.
Well, Mr. I think it was a great accomplishment made by SP Group. Yeah, only 4 years. You only took 4 years to implement to first deploy the smart meter until the rollout of OEM. I think that's great. Yeah, and we still have more time for one last question. This one is from Mr. Gigi Atmo from DG Electricity. Mr. Ang, how does bidirectional smart meter facilitate energy export from rooftop solar and battery discharge from EVs to the grid? Could you provide us with government regulations on those two aspects? Thank you very much.
Okay, so you asked me a very very big question beyond me. Okay, so in Singapore context, the second portion, battery discharge from electric vehicles to the grid. I think if you guys read the news, Singapore only just recently announced the electric vehicle program and to do away with combustion engines, etc. So right now, there isn't any practical aspect of this yet. All right. So for battery discharge, I think you are referring to vehicle to grid. Vehicle to grid, I think in other jurisdictions they have tried or are trialing, but in Singapore context we have not done that yet. For the first part, rooftop solar, this is something that we have actually done. So what happens is for solar providers, we have actually this scheme called the IGS scheme, or the intermittent generation source scheme, whereby solar providers can actually so-called sell, be paid for the export into the grid. So one thing that AMI has enabled is that it allows the AMI meter to be installed directly at the solar, directly after the solar generation point, and that can be computed and accounted for under the exporting solar company's account. So in the past, for solar exports, it's always taken at the intake point. All right. So from the solar until the intake point, there's a distance, there's losses, right? But with the proliferation of solar and the amount of energy generated, the solar providers are also smart. They do not want to be shortchanged due to these losses. So there was some discussion, and in the end, the building system was able to cater for a generation meter, AMI one, directly after the solar generation source. And because of the fact that we have this smart meter at that generation point, And also the intake point, I will also replace to an AMI meter. The instantaneous capture of the meter readings allow the settlement to be done in a very equitable manner, meaning to say there's no time lapse. It's almost like a single timestamp snapshot and you capture both readings. So it's very equitable to all the players or stakeholders in the market. So this has enabled the solar so-called market in Singapore to grow proliferately. And right now, the government is actually one of the largest player. There's actually a few large projects which they term Solar Nova. So Solar Nova is actually a project by the government to install solar panels across all government or government-related bodies, buildings. Yeah, and there's a few phases. So AMI is one of the enablers that allowed this to be done at a massive scale. So that is something that Singapore has reaped the benefits from. Yep.
I see. So you have the green design for the AMI implementation as well as creation of rooftop.
Yes.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ang. I think
Thank you.
we don't have any more time. Unfortunately, we have time limitations, so we have to stop now. Even though all mentioned questions were interesting, I apologize for the time limitation. And however, if all the attendees have any more questions, you may send it to us and we will forward it directly to Mr. Ang. Is it okay, Mr. Ang? You will be pleased to answer it, right?
Yeah, to the best of my abilities. Thanks.
Thank you. Finally, Mr. Ang, thank you for the presentation. It was very, very interesting. I personally believe that all attendees got a lot of insights from your presentation. Now, back to Ajuna and Hadi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ng Chi Kiong and Mr. Revi for the wonderful lesson learned from Singapore Power Group. And ladies and gentlemen, this is our last presentation session of the first Hapua webinar series 2021.
Agenda, please welcome Mr. Iman Faskayana as the first Hapua Webinar Series 2021 Program Manager, as well as Hapua Working Group 3, Project number 4 Chairman to deliver the closing remark.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have gone through the first Hapua webinar series seamlessly. Distinguished speakers from PLN, TNB, SP Group, and EMEA have shared their knowledge and experiences in the field of MI. From this sharing, I believe a lot of insight can be obtained so that we can avoid error and accelerate MI development. For this, I sincerely thank all the speakers. I would also to address my appreciation to the organizing committee for this wonderfully arranged webinar. As part of the organizing committee, I personally understand the hardship that you all have gone through given current situation where offline meeting is not possible, yet you still successfully hold this webinar. It is also an honor for me to have joined Mr. Ang Seng Kok, a chairman of Hapua Working Group 3 in this webinar. Your participation here really augment the significance of this webinar. This webinar would be meaningless without the attendance of all spectators, experts, and enthusiasts. Therefore, I would like to thank all participants to spend the time to join this webinar. I hope that this webinar can be from beginning for us to have professional networking among us so that transfer of knowledge can be regularly done. I also hope that we can stay safe and healthy in the midst of pandemic. Let's hope this pandemic can be over soon so we can conduct physical meeting without worries. Finally, I look forward to seeing you at the next Hapua webinar series. Thank you.
Faskayana for the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of the first Hapua webinar series 2021.
We hope that these sharing sessions can give us a remarkable lesson for the next development and implementations of advanced metering infrastructure, especially in Southeast Asia. Thank you very much for your participations and attention.
See you on the next Hapua webinar series 2021.
Dengan PLN Mobile, semua makin mudah. Download aplikasinya sekarang juga. PLN, Power Beyond Generations.